The story takes place between 496 and 484 BC. At that time, China was not yet unified, and countless small states were scattered across the land. Confucius lost his official position due to political conflicts, and in order to promote Confucianism in other countries, as well as to find a new career, he and his disciples traveled to several countries in the Central Plains, staying for periods ranging from a few weeks to a few years. Confucius's journey was marked by difficulties at every turn. His ideas did influence other countries, but in the end, no one chose to hire him. In a moment of discouragement, Confucius picked up the Changes of Zhou again. He had studied this book earlier in his life, but never realized how important this book was for the formation of Confucianism. The Changes of Zhou is a book written by a Chinese emperor around the first millennium BC. The book contains laws about the workings of the world, as well as mysterious methods of divination. The book uses continuous lines to represent yang and broken lines to represent yin. In different arrangements, these line segments would form different symbols, and these symbols would be used to represent various parts of the world, like the sky and the earth. These symbols are called trigrams, and they can be used both to refer to nature and to indicate the results of divination. Confucius himself did not believe in divination, and to him, only people of poor morality would need to rely on such things. But after traveling around the world and encountering various obstacles, Confucius gradually began to think about the existence of destiny. So he picked up the Change of Zhou again, discovered the fact that behind divination, the Changes of Zhou also contained many philosophies that the ancients believed in. The Changes of Zhou collectively called all the truths about the operation of the universe and natural changes the way of heaven, and referred to the all-knowing and all-powerful being in the world as heaven. The way in which heaven, and by extension the entire universe, changes, follows some type of rules. The Changes of Zhou summarize these rules and use them as the basis for divination. After Confucius studied this book again, he was so enlightened by this that he believed that the mysterious ways of the heavens were worthy of being referred to. So he proposed that human society should work in a way that imitates the way nature operates, as well as the way the universe operates, which in Chinese is known as the unity of heaven and man. These ideas are reflected in the Spring and Autumn Annals, written by Confucius. The Spring and Autumn Annals is a history book, but its content is not primarily a record of historical facts. Instead, it illustrates abundant philosophies through the events that have occurred in history. Some of these truths include feudal dynasties should follow the way of heaven, and people's behaviors should be consistent with their identity. In short, the essence of the Spring and Autumn Annals is the pursuit of human behavior in line with the behavior of heaven, reflecting the idea of unity of heaven and man. In addition, other contents of the Changes of Zhou are also similar to the core of other Confucian classics as mentioned above. For example, the Changes of Zhou reveals the essence of the unity of heaven and man, theoretically and philosophically. The classic of history reflects the relationship between heaven and human affairs from the aspect of government, and the Book of Rites imitates the operation of heaven from the aspect of ritual and sacrifice, confirming the unity of heaven and man from the sociological and political perspectives. The contents of these Confucian books are different, but the term unity of heaven and man is a common idea among them. It is evidence that indicates the Changes of Zhou, whose huge influence on Confucius. Besides, there are also many similarities between the Changes of Zhou and the moral pursuits advocated by Confucianism. According to the Changes of Zhou, if a person insists on good moralities and prays from the bottom of his heart, heaven will give him help. In this circumstance, improving one's internal characteristics is a way of changing and improving the external environment. This idea of changing the external environment by upgrading one's own character has also been inherited by Confucianism. For example, in the Great Learning, the ruler should promote the characteristic of inner goodness and also sympathize with and understand the people, as opposed to getting along with them in a cordial way. Here, the former is a change to oneself, and the latter is a change to the outside world. In conclusion, The Changes of Zhou is not only a book of divination and mystery, but also a book about philosophy. Its influence on the formation of Confucianism and even the formation of classical Chinese beliefs is immeasurable.